What up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. It is a great Wednesday. Good show. We got Artur Cabral coming on, South Beach Palms. Going to dive into roller coaster season that they're having. But we're definitely going to talk about Dallas this weekend. We're going to talk about everything that's happened up until then. We're going to figure out what the Palms need to do to keep the playoffs alive. We're going to talk it all. But first, I gotta do some bragging. My kids, all right, are awesome. But my oldest daughter is now there was a character trait, and the character trait was cooperation. And she was voted by her peers in her class the most cooperative. So as a dad, I just wanted to share that. That made me feel good. It makes me feel like that I'm shaping something that's going to be good. So I love her, and I want to share that because I'm proud, and hopefully everybody out there has a proud moment. And if you don't, make sure you go out there and find the little wins and you celebrate those, because to be honest, little big wins are just a bunch of little ones. So, but let me get off the soapbox for a minute and let's welcome on to the show the man himself, Artur Cabral. Artur, what's up, brother?
Hello, how's it going?
I'm blessed. My feet hit the ground this morning. I'm ready to rock and roll. Obviously, there's a lot going on in the United Grid League world. We are headed into Dallas this weekend, and it's going to be a good one. But before we get into that, I saw you post on social media, Waymo. I'm fascinated by Waymos, one, because sometimes I see driverless Waymos and other times I see people in it. So I don't know if they're the actual, like, quote unquote driver, or if they're the person that's just the passenger, but they're sitting in what would be the driver's seat. But for you, something interesting. And I didn't think it was interesting, the fact that the Waymo was on the tow truck, even though it's kind of like defeats the purpose of having a Waymo if you're going to have to break down. But what I
Right.
thought was hysterical was you're like, oh, there goes his friend. And it was another Waymo going past it on the other side.
Yeah, dude, it's here in Atlanta is full of Waymos. There's so many, and there is a warehouse where they're all I would like to say their little house where they all sleep at night. Um, they all go in. It's maybe 5 minutes from my house, so I see a lot of them going in and out. And yeah, that was something that made me laugh yesterday. I was like, I've never seen a Waymo being towed. Like, what was the reason that was towed first? That was like most intriguing. And then I started thinking, as you probably watched, I was like, okay, but how did they tow it? Like, did customer service came in on the screen and like put it on neutral, and the tow guy allowed to tow it? And where did it take it? Did it take it back to their little house, or where did it go? I was like, I
See,
was having some
that's
questions there.
yeah, that's where my mind was going. All right, well, where do you take this? You can't just take it to like a mechanic or the dealer. Like, who fixes this Waymo? But
Yeah.
that'll be story for another day. Obviously, if you know anything about Waymos and you know where they sleep or how they're fixed, who fixes them, let me know. I'm intrigued.
I
But
will try to find more information. I'll try to approach the Waymo warehouse.
thank you, because I gotta know. But let's get into grid. Um, I want to backtrack a little bit. Let's go back to week one. And I know you probably don't want to go back to week 1 or 2. You want to move to week 3 and talk New York and forward. But we've got to kind of set the stage here. Week 1, you take on the Bandits. All right, you end up dropping this one to the Bandits. What I saw from my vantage point on the sidelines is that you guys were in control of the match early. Where was the turn? Like, where did you see this start pivoting and going the other way? Because it was almost like it happened quick, and it was like 7 points in the last few races. But like, was there one area or one part of a race, or was it a particular race where you guys were like, oh shit, like this isn't, things are starting to move here a little bit?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think I share your same sentiment. We felt very in control of that match from the start. There was a lot of people cheering us on. It was in Miami. There was a lot of um, cross the soul flow that was there. There was a lot of people that came to support us. So we felt, the adrenaline and in control of the match at the same time. Um, I can't remember exactly at which point we made a mistake. There were a few things here and there that was maybe like a focus or, certain situations that we didn't execute to the standard that we hold ourselves to, and that gave them the opportunity to close in. But even going into sprint relay, we felt very in control. I was like, okay, um, we just need to win this, and it should be good despite earlier mistakes. Um, but yeah, it was when it all the chaos happened in sprint relay that it really felt like it slipped out of our hands, which is a match that we felt very much in control from the beginning.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like you guys were working towards a win, and it was almost one of those like domino effects where one particular thing had to happen to create this catalyst of things that could potentially happen that would allow the bandits to come back and beat you. And you see that one thing happen, and then the next domino falls, and then that happens, and then before you know it, there's this swing of points, and now we're in a sprint relay where it's do or die. Um,
Yeah.
but when you look back on that match at the end where you go, all right, we lost. It's the very first match. That's not, it doesn't kill you by any means, but you didn't know, all right, well, next week we have the defending champs that we're going to have to pony up a little bit here. Was there any like disappointment going, or was there any like, oh shit, man, like this is really tough now. We got the Sharks coming in. And I say that the Sharks are 2-2 and they've shown that they can be beat, but at that time they're coming off pretty strong, looking pretty good. They did have a close match against a good Breakers team, but I mean, you've got to. It's got to be a tough feeling dropping that one to the Bandits, knowing that you got to win or you got to come close. You got to do something against the Sharks in that second week. What was being talked about after the match with the Bandits going into the Sharks?
Yeah, sure. The match really affected me personally. I don't want to speak for the team, but it was a hard hit. Like we did not expect to lose that match. I mean, the Bandits is a great team. They showed that they learned from season one. They're making less mistakes. Um, but to your earlier point, we were very much in control of the match, and it felt like it was on us that we let it slip through our hands. Um, there were things that were outside of our control, but there are most definitely things inside of our control that we could have done to prevent the situation in the sprint relay to lose the match at that point. So it affected me personally a whole lot, and so it stayed on my mind for a long time. Um, so it was tough mentally to go into the second match with that in mind still, like that regret, not regret, but like thinking about the mistakes that were made. Um, and so going into the Sharks match, we just had to gather the team, and we knew it was going to be a tough match. And what was being talked about was that we know that this is going to be a fight on every single race, and we have to maximize what we can do in those races. And if that allows us to win, that's great. If it doesn't, then that's we continue to have to do our best, because as we all know, this year the tiebreaker comes down to the race times, not necessarily points as in previous seasons. So race times are very important, regardless of whether you're winning or losing. If you can keep it close every single race, um, it's beneficial in the long run. So um, ultimate goal was to win, but it's definitely a tough team to beat, especially when they're full force. So um, we knew it was going to be a hard match regardless.
Yeah, you just, I mean, you guys had injuries too, and you just couldn't seem to get your footing. You inevitably you dropped to 0-2, and so now you could have easily and just kind of packed it in and fielded a team and went out to New York and played a match, but what was the spark? Because going into New York against the Breakers, you're going up against a team who, they need to win. And now, and we'll talk about the repercussions of them not winning against you guys and what it's done for you guys beating them. But you go into that match knowing you don't have Heather Hudson. Jess Placencia gets hurt, and I think in the mirror. And so you basically go without two key contributors the entire match, and you end up picking up a really, really big win against the Breakers. Um, Before that match starts, and like you don't have Heather, and then you get into it, and now Jess is out. Like, what is the mindset of the team? Because like you could easily go, oh man, shit. Like, here we go. Like, now what do we do?
Yeah. So going into that match, we knew it was do or die. It was win or die for us. If we lost that match, we're out of playoffs for sure. There's no way that you're 1-3 and you make playoffs statistically. Um, so we knew we had to win that match to stay alive in the competition. And that's the mentality we all came in with. We put a lot more time into our assignments until we had perfected what we were going to do. We made sure that everybody knew everybody's assignment, and we had a plan A, B, and C, which was something we didn't have in previous matches. So we knew that if this person couldn't finish this reps, this other person would, or there was a third plan backup that a third person would come in and finish the reps or whatever, to make sure that we're aware of the match and not make silly mistakes as like, oh, I didn't pay attention, so I wasn't looking and I didn't do this rep, or I failed this rep that I shouldn't have failed and didn't know what to do. We all came in being aware of everybody's workload and being aware where you could be helpful if it came down to that. So it was nailing your assignments, being aware on the grid and off the grid what you should be doing, what you should not be doing, who you should be helping when, um, and fixing the mistakes that we made in the first two matches so it didn't happen again. So I think it worked well for us, and we proved that we have the ability to execute matches when we're all aware what has to be done.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, obviously, if you were to ask me prior to the match if you were going to have those key contributors and guys are going to have a chance to win, I mean, obviously, I think we all know what the answer would be. But you guys fought. You knew it's something to be said when your back's against the wall and to keep playoff hopes alive, you have to win. And so you guys went out there, you executed, you picked up a really, really big victory. Um, but not all heroes wear capes, man. Sometimes they just wear the number 13, and that that's you, my friend. Were you thinking? If correct me if I'm wrong, you weren't starting in that match, right?
No, I was a wild card for that
So
match.
so yeah, you come in, to me when you get inserted, I think did you do ladder? You cleared ladder?
Yes, my two assignments were ladder and sprint relay for the ring touches, and a
So
possible Finn voted ringer, but that didn't get chosen, thankfully.
So you come in and you execute flawlessly on the things that you were asked to do, and I think it goes back to what you're saying is everybody had their assignments. They had modifications, they had audibles A, B, and C for whatever situation you guys got into. But I want to go to the sprint relay. Obviously, prior to that, were you thinking just by the way the match was going that it was going to come down to that? Were you hoping you were like, man, just let it come down to sprint relay because that like what I'm asked to do, I got this.
That's a great question. I don't think we thought about it coming into it. We're hoping that we would have the match decided. Given everything goes well for us, we're hoping to not let be decided on sprint relay. But I was confident based on the movements that we had there that we would be able to execute if it came down to that. And it did. And I'm glad that we threw the bonus flag and I'm glad we executed. Um, and it turned out well for us. So I was confident, even if didn't go perfect, that there were some areas that we could pick up time that we would pass them at certain points on the sprint relay.
So let's get into that. So we're you know that you're doing the burpees to rings and you are on the start line. You're waiting to go, and you see Dylan Fullwood, who I think we all know. If you've watched Grid, the breakers are going to send one guy out to do that movement, and it's going to be him.
Yeah.
And for all intents and purposes, he has been very good at that movement. So when you see him enter the grid before you, he almost has the opportunity to have almost like a 2 rep lead before you even get on the grid. And I don't know what, or even if he did have a lead, but at what point, what are you saying to yourself when you're on the start line when you see, oh shit, like this guy who's good at this movement is now starting this movement? Like, what are you saying to yourself? What's that self-talk saying?
Yeah, I was extremely confident on my assignment. I have practiced that race, that movement specifically, tirelessly throughout the past 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I knew what I was capable to do, and based on times, I'm gonna go to my analytical mind a little bit. So, like, based on times alone from last year, I knew I was a whole second faster than him if everything goes perfect. So like if I am at my best last year and he was at his best last year, I was a second faster on that movement alone. So if I was a rep behind, I could still match him and try to beat on the foot race. Um, so my self-talk was like, you're the fastest on this movement in the league as of now. And I got faster from last year, so I knew for a fact that my time was able to catch him to some degree if I was behind. So I was just positively self-talking like, hey, you're gonna catch him, you're gonna catch him, he might make a mistake, you're gonna catch him, you're gonna pass him on the run. I gotta give a shout out to Johnny because he was right behind me and he was pumping me up and hyping me up before I ran out for my movement. So thanks to Johnny. um, he hyped me up before that and he was like, you're a big dog. You're gonna eat that. You're gonna eat that movement, and um, it helped me a lot. I mean, it's it's really nice when you have teammates that you know believe in you, and I think we all believe in each other in the palm. So um, yeah, that's kind of what was going on.
All right. So you enter the grid and you start picking up some steam. Did you realize you had caught him, or you didn't realize it until you started your 4 point touch to exit the grid?
I realized that I was two reps behind when I got to the floor, and I will possibly be able to like be one rep behind or possibly match if he slows down towards rep nine. But I saw that like toward my third rep, I looked to the side, I just glanced on the corner of my eye and I saw him missed one. And I was like, that's my chance. Like I was two reps behind. I knew I could catch one, and now he missed one. So like I know for a fact that if I execute perfect, I can match him. Um and then he missed more than one if I'm not mistaken. So that opened the door for me with a perfect execution to pass him, which was the case toward when I turned around and did a 4 point touch, which is um, I'm really glad I was able to help the team to win that.
Yeah, I mean, you could see it. It was clear. I think Dylan, he faulted on his first rep. And I think that's kind of what threw him off, because then it was like, oh, there's a little pressure and you hadn't entered the grid, but there's still like, that's the shitty thing about this movement, is because when you're ahead, your back is to the person coming in. So you truly don't know when that person is coming on. And so he might have thought like you were coming on quicker than what you actually did. And so I think that kind of added to it, because you could see him miss another, and then some frustration started. And I think he hit the ring and then hit it too hard and it started swinging. And then I think
Hmm.
that's what created the panic and the issue. But shout out to Dylan. He's an incredible athlete. I don't know if you've seen him lately, but the dude is just jacked. He's so
My goodness, I was talking to him in New Jersey, and I was like, "Man, that's some meat right there." Like,
jacked.
he has put some muscle, like unreal amounts of muscle. Yeah, he's looking insane. He's looking
Yeah, he
so
looks
good. And I
good.
told him in person, he's competing in bodybuilding soon, I
Mhm.
believe. So, yeah, he's doing awesome. And to be honest, bringing back Dylan, they chose the three legless rope climbs, which they thought I was gonna do it against him because I usually do the rope climb ringers and assignments during the match. But we had, since I was a wild card, I was needed in two other places, and so Steven did it. And props to Steven, he executed that ringer perfectly. But we were expecting Dylan to just win that ringer, and we were thinking like we have to be as close as possible to him to get 1 point on that ringer. We didn't expect necessarily to win. We knew there was a chance if he missed one. But if he executed perfect, he's one of the fastest in the league. I mean, him, Dalton, Sam, they're unbelievably fast up that rope on the legless anyway. Um, but yeah, that was props to Dylan on those races for sure.
Yeah. So now we got a big weekend. In a few days in Dallas, you guys got to take on the Flight. You're going to open up Saturday, first match. And the Flight are winless, but getting better each match. And what is the message to the team when you go into what I would say is like a match you guys should win, if you want to lay it out there like that? You got to execute, no doubt, to have a chance to win, but it's one that you probably should win. Corey's not going to like that I said that, because he wants me to say that you guys are going to lose everything. And I'll whisper that to him on the side in Dallas if he needs that. But I love Corey. He's a competitor. He's a badass. But I think the reality is on paper, you guys, if you take away the race times just from performance and wins and losses, like, you should win this match. But it's grid, and the way the season has rolled, anything can happen. So what's the message to the team, or what are you guys talking about as far as being able to execute the strategy going into this big match for you guys? And we'll talk in a minute about the ramifications, win or lose, but what is the message going into the match?
Yeah, it's pretty similar to what Mike Rosa talked about in the live stream during their match against the Flight.
Mhm.
We have to prepare like we know nothing about them. Like, because there's not a whole lot of data. There's only been two matches that they played, and not a whole lot of the movements overlap with the movements we have in this match. Of course, there's some that you can time it, like rep average time and all that. That would compare to this one, but there's a lot of movements that are showing up in Dallas that haven't shown up yet, so we don't know how fast they really are in some of those. So we're preparing like we're trying to beat the best team in the league. We're going with our absolute fastest people in every single movement, no doubt. If if somebody didn't send a video of a certain movement, you're not being put in. Like, we can't just trust that you can do at a certain time frame. Like we're going for the throat, and that's all we can do really because the data is really minimal compared to other teams. That we have years worth of data on other teams, but for the flight, it's just 2 matches, and we got to prepare not to pull CrossFit into it, but prepare for the unknown. They have great athletes. They have extremely strong athletes, very athletic people. They have extremely talented gymnasts there in Aiden, and they can, pull some tricks out of the sleeve. And we got to be prepared for anything that they try on that match because for us, again, is another win or die. We have to win to stay
Yeah.
alive.
Yep. And even with a win, I mean, how much have you guys talked about what has to happen? Obviously, you can't look at anything other than what happens if you win, because if you lose, like that's it. Um, but if you win, do you know what else has to happen in order for you guys to get in?
There are a couple scenarios, and I know there was going to be a show. I think that Josh was going to talk about that. But for us, in our conference specifically, there are certain scenarios that could happen. Um, so with the Wild has still 2 matches to go. So we're to answer your question first. Not a whole lot of talk besides we have to win and we have to win with fast times.
Yeah.
That's just to make it plain and simple. Um, is a win and win fast.
That-
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you win, but your times are, the slowest in the league. The differential is going to be everybody's going to be 2-2 at the end of the
Yep.
regular season, most likely. So the Wild has still 2 matches to go. The Breakers have 1 match to go, and the Lions have 1 match to go, if I'm not mistaken. So best case scenario, um, I believe the Lions would be 3-1. I forgot to look at before this, but they might be 3-1 best case scenario for them. Best case scenario for the Wild, there'll be 2-2, maybe 3-1 if they win both,
I think what you guys need to root for is the Lions to win and the
and the Wild
Wolves
to
to win,
lose. Oh,
and the
correct.
Wild got to lose. So you need
Yep.
for the Breakers to drop theirs to the Lions. You need for the Wolves to beat the Wild, which helps. That moves the Wild down a spot. If the Lions win, that moves the Breakers out, and that opens up the door for you guys for that 3 spot. And while when you think about it, like it seems like a lot of things have to happen, but those are things that realistically could happen. And
Yeah.
it's I'll ask you this, like let's say you take care of business and you beat the flight, and then the Wolves the next match beat the Wild, and then the next match it doesn't really matter for you guys, but whatever happens happens. What happens then? Are you guys coming on Sunday to watch the matches and see how they play out, or are you guys flying back and just letting Jesus take the wheel?
I unfortunately have to fly back at 10 a.m. and I think a couple of us are flying back in the morning. I'm not sure about everybody, but I'll be watching certainly. I just couldn't stay the whole day and fly at night on
Yeah.
Sunday. Um, but yeah, I definitely will be tuning in to watch and hoping that the results are favorable for us. Um,
Well,
but I wish I could be there all day as well on Sunday.
do everything you can. That's even vote for the fan voted ringer that's not favorable for the team that you need to lose, and like everything. Like
Yep.
put it out.
Yep.
Um you when you go into this weekend, whether you make playoffs or not, what would you say about this season that you've had? Successful or still yet to be determined? It's going to be based off of how you finish.
I think it will be largely based on how we finish. Me personally, I mean, me personally, I've made some mistakes early in the season that I'm not. Um, it's not typical for me to make those types of mistakes. I was dealing with injuries and stuff like that, and ended up, making some mistakes that are not normal for me. So last match was definitely confidence building and very good execution wise for myself. So I think the feeling towards the season definitely got better with the win, and I'm sure it will get better given another win happening. But I think it will largely be determined that if we did everything that we could to make playoffs on the second half of the season, so in the last two matches. um, I know we can't dwell too much on the first two, but those are lessons learned
Yeah,
for the next few years for sure.
definitely. So last question before I let you bounce. All right, had some people not in the lineup, not in Jersey. You had, Jess get hurt, but what can you say about the team as far as a health standpoint and strength is, and who all is going to be there, or can you not say anything?
Um, well, outside of Jess, of course,
Mhm.
she had her knee injury, which prevents her from continuing with the season, unfortunately. So she's in, working with that, dealing with that. But um, we'll have a full squad. Outside of Jess, Heather's back, and we'll have a few surprises as well. People that
Ooh.
haven't been on the grid yet, so super excited about that. And so I'm excited to welcome new teammates and people that have been waiting to step on the grid for a while this season. So
When you
it'll
say
be
haven't been on the grid yet this season or ever?
both this season and ever. So it'll be their
Oh,
first match ever, and first time this season on the grid. So that's pretty exciting.
hey,
And
it's
yeah,
gonna be awesome.
I don't want to give it
It's
too
gonna
much away, but it's not a secret as far as like it's not somebody that we signed um recently. It's somebody that has been signed since the beginning of the season, but if you're paying attention, you'll know who hasn't been around and who's coming back.
Needless to say, they're pretty strong, right?
Yeah, I would say that. I'd say they can move a barbell pretty fast.
Well, that's what you need. Artur,
Yeah.
man, I look forward to seeing you get after it this weekend. Safe travels, and as always, if there's anything I can do, man, reach out.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we go, I just want to give a shout to my team, Palms, of course. Um, like you said in the beginning of the podcast, it's been a roller coaster of a season, and we've all felt it. People outside of the team felt it and came talk to us, and so it hasn't been easy, but for sure we're gonna come with all we got in Dallas to finish the season strong and make it to playoffs. And I just want to give a shout out to everybody because through the ups and downs that we had this season, whether that's injury, execution errors, people that couldn't be there in a certain match, the entire team stepped up. It was not one person or another that stepped up. Literally everybody took assignments that weren't planned for them the day off, stepped up, did more work than they were expecting to, did not complain, and just executed to the best of their abilities. So I'm just super proud of the work that we've been putting in. Whatever result gives us at the end of the season, I'm just super proud of the team and how we've stepped up our execution.
Yeah, definitely. The grind is real, but it's always better when you like the people that you're grinding with, and it seems like you guys all love each other, and that's always a positive, especially when you're building a team and building um winning. and that's where you guys are at, with the opportunity to, finish 2-2 and hopefully maybe solidify a spot in the playoffs. We'll see. But Artur, brother, I'll see you this weekend, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Yes, sir. That is Artur Cabral, the South Beach Palms. If you like hearing Artur's story, or you just like hearing Average Joe's talk X's and O's, please like, share the podcast on Facebook. Head over to YouTube, like, subscribe, notifications. That way you're first to know when new content is dropped. And it all goes down this weekend in Dallas, Mesquite Convention Center. It's rodeo, it's Cowboys, but more importantly, it's a lot of fitness and a lot of grit. So we'll see you there Saturday, Sunday, 29th and 30th. YouTube live, every match broadcasted there on the United Grid League YouTube channel. We'll see you then. Everybody be good, be safe. And as always, strong body, sharp minds, grit and grind all the time. We're out.